This production is sponsored by the Good Estate Agent. With an average turnaround time of 3 weeks, if you want your house sold quickly, then contact Stefan today on 01942 356 577. Quote Super League Raw for 33% off. So good morning and welcome to round 21, the captain's run courtesy of Super League Raw. With me as always is Steph. Hello Steph, how are you doing?
Good morning, everyone. Looking forward to a weekend of rugby league as always.
Absolutely, and round 21, this season seems to be flying. Absolutely flying, unbelievable stuff. Got a few people watching us already. Hello to Bazza Kingston, Ben Macklin, Rebecca Frey, Carla Collier, Peter Barley. Peter Barley has gone straight in for a super chat. That's a latte. We're not having beers today. It's too early in the morning. But Peter Barley, loving the show. He's just paid for a latte for us. If you fancy supporting this production, don't want to become a member just yet, but you want to support what we do here at Super League Raw, then buy us a latte. Use super chats and actually put in there as well either a hello or a question, and we are guaranteed to answer that during the show. So well done, Pete. Thank you very much indeed. Matty Timms obviously gave him a great big tribute on social media, Steph, yesterday, and deservedly so.
Absolutely. The hero of the year, if we're doing an end of season awards, don't want to give that one away, but Matt will be right up in the contenders for that one. But no, lovely tribute, and the work he's done for Alfie this year has been commendable and an inspiration to everybody in terms of what you can do and how you can impact other people's lives.
And Bazza Kingston has now bought my latte. So we're well and truly latte'd up for the start of this show. Well done to Bazza. Well done to Pete for your support. Pete, I've not forgot, mate. I'm just waiting for the Rugby Football League to come back to me. Peter Barley knows what that's all about. Right, let's get into today's show. The league table, this is where we left it at the end of round 20. The Robins, of course, 4 points clear of the Wigan Warriors, who go to the Warrington Wolves tomorrow night. The Leopards, of course, they're taking on the Rhinos in 5th this week. Saints going up against Trinity. Some belting games on the way this week, and we might keep dipping back to this league table because there's a lot of fallout that could happen, Steph, this week in round number 21. Just to confirm the fixtures. Apologies for the Good Estate Agent there, dearie me, but we've got to make sure that that's on screen for our sponsor. Leigh Leopards taking on the Rhinos tonight, of course, at 8 o'clock. One not to be missed. That Trinity against Saints. That's on Sky on the red button and on Sky Super League Plus. Warrington Wigan on the main channel. I think that should be the other way around, but there you go. Hull KR, they will take on the Castleford Tigers. Giants take on the Catalan Dragons, and then finally on Sunday it will be Hull FC taking on Salford Red Devils. As we've come on air, Steph, another departee from Salford, Jack Ormonroyd, left for, did you say Oldham?
Oldham, yeah, he's gone immediate.
So, that's a massive blow, because Jack's been playing great for him this season. He's really put a shift in for him. They've lost both Chris Hill now and Jack Ormonroyd in the same week. And I know they can bring loanees in, but that's pretty much their front row in terms of any forward momentum. Not great, is it?
No, it's not. It's I think it's just a case of getting them to the end of the season now. Matty's put in the chat there, it's not going fast enough for him, and I can completely understand that. But no, we just need to get them to the end of the season, and then we can be done with this debacle.
Matty Timms, bless him. For those who are watching and don't know, Matt's a Salford fan, and he's actually paying us not to mention him. Good lad, Matty. Unfortunately, we've got to, mate, but we'll try and keep it to a minimum for you. The pain is actually now paying us not to talk about it.
If you didn't laugh, you'd cry, is what I'd say.
Oh, Matty, that's comedy gold, mate. It's comedy. You know what? That's tongue-in-cheek. That's great stuff. That's great stuff from Matty Timms. Well done, Matty. Outstanding. Well done. Right, let's get into the analysis. Let's get into today. Of course, we talked about this very briefly on weekly. Leigh Leopards taking on the Leeds Rhinos. An absolute belter of a game this one should be this evening. Really looking forward to this one. I know that you will, well, say you will be, Steph. You're in a good position. You should look forward to it. You're in a really good position in the league. Let's just go through some of the key analysis. Of course, that's what the Captain's Run is all about. Leeds are on a 3-game winning streak against the Leopards. There you go. The Leopards last lost in that absolute thriller, round 16, a 78-point thriller at Headingley, of course. 48-30 defences weren't on song that day. We'll start there, Steph. You are not, I would presume, like me, you are not expecting a 78-point game this time around.
Definitely not. I think it's going to be complete opposite. Actually, I think it's going to be more defensive orientated from both sides.
Yeah,
A lot at stake for both teams in this one in terms of Leeds catching up to Leigh in that third place position. They'll go 1 point behind Leigh if they win this game, and if Leigh win, then I think they open up a 5-point cushion over Leeds for that third place. So lots at stake. I think it'll be a chess match. Two very evenly matched sides as well. I think they're very, very close to each other in ability. So it's going to be fascinating tonight to see which team comes out on top.
Yeah, is that it? I think that's it. I think I found it. Yeah, for some unknown reason, I lost the predictions. I still think I have. So we might have to remind ourselves what they were. Certainly what me and you said anyway. Of course, we did do all the other predictions on weekly. Right, okay. The last home win for the Leopards against the Leeds Rhinos was back in April 2023, round 10 of Super League, 20 points to 6 wins. So yeah, a couple of years ago since Leigh last enjoyed a win against the Rhinos. Both of these two, I mean, look, Leigh coming to this in incredible form. The last, of course, defeat that Leigh had was to Leeds. It was that game against Leeds at Headingley, Steph. So that's the only blot on your copy. But that said, if you beat Leeds tonight, what a 5-win streak that will be. Just to recap, of course, Wigan, KR, Saints, Warrington, and Leeds. I mean, you've got to say, as winning streaks go, that will be very impressive indeed. Of course, as for the Leeds Rhinos, 3 wins from the last 5. Both of them very similar in terms of points scored this season, but Leeds have conceded by a good margin, actually, less points than the Leopards this year. Both tackle efficiencies very close. The conversion percentage going the way of Leeds Rhinos, but more errors from the Rhinos. So again, that's quite a sizable difference in terms of errors made in a game, albeit more penalties conceded by the Leopards. It's an intriguing game. When you look at that, Steph, it's, there's a lot you can take from that graphic.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Leeds have been fantastic, but I think that's one of the key elements that Brad Arthur's brought to this Leeds side is a real steeliness in defence. And obviously with the likes of Connor coming into that team now, their attack's got so much better than it was last year when they were languishing in 8th position. So you've got to give Brad Arthur loads of credit for every bit of work that he's done to that team, and obviously the big announcement on Monday in terms of his future. So whether that has any impact on tonight's game or not, I'm sure the players will want to win for him regardless, and they're going to come all guns blazing to the LSV. Like you said earlier, it's been a happy hunting ground for them since 2023. I remember, I think it was last season, we were 16-0 up, I think it was. Looked like we were coasting. Leeds came back in the second half and won the game. So it's a bit of a bogey team for Leigh, and they do a great job of neutralising our attack normally. So it'd be interesting to see if Adrian Lamb switches anything up this week to compensate for that with Leeds.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's, again, that narrative of how well Leeds do. It's like Saints against Leeds. Saints do really well against Leeds. We all have these bogey teams. Warrington, Salford, case in point. Wakefield as well. Warrington struggle against Wakefield. We all have these type of teams. But yeah, it's absolutely fascinating to see how this one will go. And of course, back to the league, because I did say we keep going back to this. If the Leopards were to win, they would overtake Wigan overnight in second. So that'd be interesting. That said, if Leeds were to win, of course, they would then, of course, get up to 28 points, just one behind. They'd rein you in. And, of course, they would sit above St. Helens overnight. So, like I say, it would really tighten up the third, fourth, and fifth positions. There's no doubt about that if Leeds were to win. But this is a massive, massive game for the Leopards. If they can win this, the dream of second is very much still on. And like I say, it will be a very, very handsome little cushion of 5 points over the Rhinos with just 6 games to go. Right, these are the squads. And again, Steph, you were pretty confident when we spoke briefly on Weekly that you're expecting Ethan O'Neill back this evening.
Yeah, Ethan O'Neill and Robbie Muller, and I think we'll both come back into the side tonight. I think a push they could have played last week against Warrington. I think that he's held them back for this game, knowing that obviously the Leeds have got a great pack, lots of go forward, and we will really have to match him in the middle. And to get those two back for Leigh is massive. Obviously, they're going to need to get up to speed. They're not going to be fully fit. They've been out for a period of time, both of them.
Yeah.
But I do expect us to go with our best side possible. And I think this is the first time this year, apart from David Armstrong, that we're going to have our strongest side possible out.
Yeah.
So no excuses from the Leigh camp in this one.
No, they've got to come out there and perform. And of course, one big again does Brad Hart. I mean, just come back to something that you said a moment ago about Brad Hart for the decision comes out on Monday. Is that a bad shout? It does that just leave doubt? Does that take a little bit of distraction? We know that Sky will be all over that tonight. We know that that'll be what they'll want to talk about. And for me, this game needs celebrating. This should be a barnstorming game. And what it's doing is it's creating a narrative that maybe, and I hope Sky are listening, and I hope they don't do this. But imagine if Sky use pre-match and most of the pre-match to discuss the Brad Hart for future. What a wasted opportunity to really wax lyrical about what will be a phenomenal game.
It's quite clever by Brad Arthur, actually, and it might be me being a bit cynical, but what a great way to take pressure off your team by putting it all back on you and saying the decisions. It's a great, even if it wasn't intended, it's a great distraction to take pressure off his team and put it onto himself. But I don't think they need that. I think Leeds are a fantastic side, so much improved, like I said earlier. And if they're on and Leigh are on, then we're on for an absolute cracker tonight. And what Thursday night rugby is all about, it's a great slot for rugby league. Everyone looks forward to it now. I remember, when it first came out Thursdays, everyone hated them. I absolutely love them now. It's the beginning of the weekend, and if you can start off with an absolute humdinger like this one, it bodes well for the rest of the round.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't agree with you more at all. Really, really good quality game this one should be. Right. Let's carry on. I mean, in terms of what's on the horizon, record breakers. So I always forget. So this is going to stop me from forgetting stuff. Josh Charlie, one more try, draws him level with Alan Hunt in 25th place, the all-time British game in terms of scoring charts. And Ash Handley will make his 250th appearance. The captain of Leeds expected to play tonight. 250 career appearances for Ash. You, like me, very, very respectful of Ash Handley. We think he's a great player. Great to see him getting this milestone.
Yeah, fantastic. And we all questioned him moving into the centre position. He's an out-and-out winger, etc., etc. He's proved me wrong in that respect. I think he's been phenomenal in centre for them this year. I do still think his best position's wing, but he's been exceptional in the centre. And what bigger motivation for those Leeds players than to have your captain in his 250th? That's a massive thing they will draw on this evening. They will not want to have their captain on his 250th losing this match. So it's a big motivational point for them, and one I expect they'll use quite a lot this evening.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Richie Taylor, you're both there tonight. I'm not, but Steph absolutely is. He will be there in attendance. And there's only one place to find him before kickoff. He's in the Platinum Lounge. If you drop Steph a line, he will be more than happy to come out, shake you by the hand, and have a drink with you. No doubt about that whatsoever. Right. Let's get into some really tasty head-to-heads. We had to start here. Who will shine? These two players this year are in brilliant, brilliant seasons. There's no doubt about it. And both of them tonight will have a massive say in who wins this game. Jake Connor, Lachlan Lamb. We couldn't ignore it. Both of them, in the discussions for Man of Steel, whether they win it or not, they're certainly going to be ranking high in those tables. The Steve Prescott Man of Steel, and of course the Super League Royal Trophy and the Albert Goldthorpe, and rightly so. You can see there, Jake's scored more tries, assists. The leader of the division is Lachlan Lamb with 28, but 24 is a great return from Jake Connor, no doubt. Busts 31 to 23 in Jake's favour, 4-3 in Lamb's favour in terms of breaks. The attacking kicks and the kicks in general play, again, very little. And that pretty much highlights how important these players are. We know that they will manage the game. They will have a massive, massive say in who's going to win this one tonight, Steph. I'm sure you, as a paying punter, going through those turnstiles tonight, really looking forward to these two playing the trade.
Yeah, and I think whoever performs best out of these two is probably going to be on the winning side as well. I think that's the impact that, just from their assists there, that's how important they are to each of these two teams. So yeah, both need to be on form. It is going to be a battle of attrition tonight, and I think the kicking game is going to be massively important. Territory is going to be massively important. So yeah, it's going to be, from a tactical point of view, it's going to be interesting to see how each side treats the game. But I fully expect Connor to be kicking to death. They won't have gone unnoticed. Mark Sneyd's kicks to Bailey Hodgson in the first half of last week. They'll be wanting to put him under a bit of pressure.
And Brand, and let's not forget Brand. Brand had a
Brand,
dodgy
yeah.
first half as well, didn't he, last week?
Yes, yeah. But the good news is conditions are looking, although we are having a bit of a shower in Leigh at the moment, it is going to be bright and sunny and a balmy 20 degrees. So it should be perfect conditions for rugby league. So hopefully the error count will be low in this game.
Yeah, that's outstanding, and that's what we want, isn't it? We want the conditions to be of the highest quality, so that these boys and girls, and of course the girls that are doing the flags and all the rest of it. Come on, let's get them involved. Enjoy their evening at the LSV. And one thing we know, it's going to be an event. It always is. Simon Shaw, of course, member here at Super League Royal. We like to give the members some shout outs. Connor, front runner for Man of Steel for Simon Shaw. He needs to grab this one by the scruff of the neck. Absolutely, no doubt about it. It will be very interesting indeed. Right, that was an obvious one. Now my guilty pleasure. I'm a purist. I like a bit of battle, a real good quality battle. We pick these out throughout the season. And this one for me is a belter. It is Frankie Holton going up against James McDonald. These two for me in great, great form this season. Really liking their work. Really, really liking their work. I mean, this is a great little tussle that's on the way this evening, Steph. Your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, two brilliant young English second rowers, great players, and the best thing about these two, along with the tackle count, but I think they both tackle phenomenally well. But also the line running off the halves is fantastic, and create those line breaks and tackle busts off the back of it. So a bit like the halves. I think second row is going to be very, very important tonight, especially if we've got the likes of Ethan O'Neill coming back for us. Callum Watkins, we saw what he did to Leigh in that 48-30 game. He was running lines for fun and creating spaces. So, yeah, great matchup this one, and really looking forward to seeing how they both go on.
Well, James Bentley played well last week, so it'll be interesting to see if it's a McDonald Bentley. They have been obviously putting Watkins at loose, haven't they, and bringing Cam Smith off the bench to provide a bit of punch. So that's going to be interesting to see what tactics Brad Arthur has there. I mean, you mentioned there about the tackles, the efficiencies, 94.4 Holton this year, 94.4, 91.5 James McDonald. It's a belting game, this. It's a belting matchup, this. Two real warriors. Great seasons, both of them. It should be absolutely marvellous. Now, you back your home team on weekly this week. Still fancying the 1-8?
Yeah, I think it's really a finger in the air, this one. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Leeds 9-17. It's literally one of those games that whoever turns up is going to win it. And if they both turn up, then it could go down to a golden point. So both sides are capable of. We've already seen it this season to blow out the other one. I hope it's not the case. I really hope it's a tight game and it's an absolute thriller. But yeah. going to stick with the Leigh 1-8. Obviously, I've got to do that. My team, on the form we've been in. But likewise, I wouldn't be surprised if Leeds won this one either.
Yeah, well, if you remember, mate, I went the Leopards 9-17. Such is your form. I fancied a decent win. Everybody going the way of Leigh in this one. 1-8, but I decided a 9-17 shot was where I was going to be. What I do know is that unlike the 78-point thriller tonight, we're now getting into the time of season, and we see this every year. By the time we get to the grand final, defence wins games. So I think both of these two sides tonight, albeit Adrian Lamaz said that he's going to be more expansive in the run up to the playoffs, but I do think that defence tonight will be key, and maybe we just see a bit more emphasis on that from both sides. It's one not to be missed. Right, let's move on.
Sorry, Dave, just quickly. Sorry, one last point as well on this. You're absolutely right in defence, but I also think discipline's a key factor in this one. That's going to be huge tonight. And what an amazing stat still is that Leigh haven't had a yellow or red card this season, which is phenomenal.
It is
To get to that I think obviously I've just give it a kiss of death there again on that, but yeah, it's definitely a valid point in this one that discipline needs to be absolutely bang on for both teams, because if one team isn't, the other will take advantage of it massively.
Absolutely, and of course, Leeds Rhinos 7 yellows this season, 1 red. So you've got to say yes, discipline. I think discipline now for all of these key runners and riders is absolutely massive. You need your best players on the field. Should be a belter. Will Morgan Gannon get back in? He was in great form before his injury. Of course, pictured on the squad list. That'll be interesting to see.
Cam Smith's out as well, I think.
Cam Smith's there as well. Yeah,
he's out.
No, he's in the 21. Has he been
not playing? He's not. His brother after he's not playing.
All right. Well, he'll definitely Callum Watkins loose forward starting place then on that basis. Right. Okay. Wakefield Trinity against Saints. I really feel for this particular game because I personally think this should have been the game that's on the main channel. I really do. Yes, Warrington, Wigan, there's the rivalry and the rest of it, but Warrington are well down the table. These two are really punching for those top sixes. It should be, for me, on paper, and what we've seen this season, a higher quality of game. Hopefully I've not, again, done this one by saying that. But there you can see it. I mean, an incredible run for Saints over the years against Wakey, 49 wins to 10 in Super League history. The last 4 going their way. St. Helens have won the last 7 away games at Wakey. The last 7. Trinity's last home win against the Saints was 24-20 back in April 2018. So they are due one. They played, I thought Wakey were unlucky earlier in the season against Saints. I really did. I thought they played well. But yeah, there you go. So they're the stats with regards to this one. Saints obviously losing out to Leigh. That was their loss, but of course 4 out of the last 5 and 3 out of the last 5 for Wakey. So both of them in decent form, no doubt about that. The points for, I mean, again, you've got to give Darryl Powell and Wakey so much credit. St. Helens 527 points this season in Super League and counting. Of course, some of the big blowouts that they've done. Wakey scored 484. There's not been many blowouts that Wakey have achieved. And I think that says a lot about how potent their attack has been this season. And we've got to give them credit for that. Saints' defence, good. I mean, again, all this talk about Saints this season, 214 points conceded in 20 games of Super League. That is very strong indeed. So even though they've had a lot of ins and outs with injuries, their defence has been very, very solid this year. Only 214. And 324 is not bad from a newly promoted team either. Let's not be too harsh on that one either. Both tackle efficiencies very close. The conversions going the way of Wakey going into this. And surprisingly, the errors and the penalties very, very close. And this is why I'm saying, Stef, I think this game has got all the makings for a real barnstorm on Friday night.
Yeah, it has. And I think you add into it the atmosphere and probably a sellout crowd again at the DIY Kitchen Stadium. It should be an absolute classic. But you're absolutely right to highlight St. Helens' defence there. That's an average of 10 points a game, if my maths is right. Yeah, that's top 2 defence. So it's there is lots of positives in Saints' season, especially now they've kicked on and got over that. The bits of injuries they've got. Some positives in Wellesby potentially coming back very soon as well. But what that will give them is the dilemma of what to do with Sailor. So that's going to be fascinating. Now they've got Felton, Owen Dagnall playing so well. So there's lots of different scenarios for Saints coming up. But yeah, it should be an absolute classic. This I'm looking forward to this just as much as I'm looking forward to Leeds tonight. I think you're spot on. It should be the main game, and it's going to be a real close one. This again, a bit similar to the Leeds game.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Let's get into the two squads then. Here they are. Forget what's going across the bottom of the screen. As always, up against it, doing these shows, as you know. But there you go. Let's have a quick look then. So, look, I mean, in terms of Wakey Trin, all the key players are there. Their squad is getting stronger all the time in terms of injuries. Of course, Caleb Hamlin Yelly is still out. Of course, that's an absentee that he's been in and out pretty much all season. Oliver Russell's still there. Jake Truman's still there. So they're now back to full complement in terms of the halves. Liam Hood back into the squad as well for this one. We've been very impressed with Harvey Smith. He's back up number 9. He's been good as well. But you have to say, they're looking in really fine fettle. And Jaden Myers, who has been deputising for the injured Tom Johnstone, he has been attributing himself really well. So, now we've always said it, that Wakey have got themselves into a really strong position despite the amount of injuries that they have had. And this is why teams can't call on injuries as being like Warrington's and the like. Daryl Powell has assembled a squad that you might argue might not be full of superstars, but it's full of strength. And that is why Wakey are sitting 6th going into this game. And now the players are back, are a really frightening prospect for the teams above them as they go towards the playoffs.
100%, mate. And I think the Super League, I don't see changing in the next few years. I think squads are always going to go through injury crisis just because of the how physical the game is now, and the speed it's played at, etc., etc. So we're always going to have injuries coming in, and squad depth is a key part of that. And Wakefield have got a fantastic squad, like I say, not full of superstars, but real workhorses, people who will put their bodies on the line for one another. And more important than that, they've got a fantastic team ethic and ethos. The mates, you can see how much they're enjoying it. It comes across through their social media in bucket loads, how much they're enjoying playing with each other. And that's a big factor as well. That gives you that extra 5%, 10% on a game day if you're in a happy camp, a happy squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carla Collier's with us. She says Myers is going really well, absolutely. And hello to Nicola Burtonwood. She's in there as well. 4 kisses, even though there's only 2. So that's both cheeks done. Outstanding stuff from Nick. Well done. But yeah, I mean, in terms of St. Helens, St. Helens for me, they're dangerous. They're thereabouts. I'll tell you what was interesting for me is Whitby. It would appear that Welland is fancying the Mbai Lomax partnership in the halves. Whitby played for the reserves last week. I believe he had a decent game as well. But he's struggling to get back into this side. Have you been surprised by that based on Whitby's form prior to going out the team? Are you surprised that Welland is sticking with him by?
No, I think he's. I think what he's doing is when it was in this period where it has been tough for them. They've got that experience there, and I think that's took the pressure off the team a little bit. And obviously, then they've gone on this bit of a winning streak. So I'm not surprised he's sticking with it. I think Whitby will be in there next year as their starting half. He's had his taster into it this season. I'm sure he'll probably get a couple more games as well this season. But I can totally understand why he's kind of leaning on his senior players at the moment to get them into the playoffs, and I totally understand why he's doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle Felt in great form, scoring great, a lot of tries, and of course Owen Dagnall. I mean, what a player he's been for the Saints since he's come into the side. All of a sudden, and again, how many times have you said this? When you put under pressure, when you put under stress in terms of injuries, suddenly, you start to see what's in that reserve grade. And, again, going back to the conversations that we've had, and we won't go back over them in terms of player pools, etc. There's plenty of quality in reserve scholarship on Park Fields that, the next generation that's coming through. And people like Dagnall, Whitby prove that point, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And imagine if when we go to the 14 sides, and one of those is York, for example. Imagine if they could get Whitby for a full season.
Yeah, on
In
loan.
terms of
Yeah,
alone.
yeah.
For Whitby's development, still belongs to St Helens, but answers a big thing for their halves in a competitive when trying to build a competitive Super League side, but also for that lad's development rather than go on loan to a Swinton or a Rochdale or whoever. To actually be playing in Super League where we know he's capable of doing now, but have experience of leading a team. That could be invaluable for players like that, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of these ones getting Super League experience.
Well, Carl Collier's back in. Maybe where Mbai's concerned, he's doing the job he's being asked of. If it's not broke, you don't fix it. Absolutely. Whitby's got to work his way back into the side, whether that be through injury or, of course, through form. So I couldn't agree with you more, Carla. Outstanding stuff. Right. Let's pay tribute to this man. His 400th career appearance will be tomorrow night at Trinity. Darrell Clarke. No doubt about it. In the modern generation, in the last, 10, 15 years, Darrell Clarke has been the epitome of a modern day hooker. He's an exceptional number 9. That said, since he's gone to Saints, maybe he'd have wanted his form to be a little bit better than it has been, perhaps. Maybe the Saints fans maybe feel the same, but there's no doubting about it. Darrell Clarke, on his day, international class, quality player.
And a model professional as well.
Yeah.
He's always kept himself fit. I know he's suffered a few injuries since he's been at St Helens, which has hampered that form. But on his day, he's still a fantastic player. Obviously, Father Time's catching up with him a bit now. But he I think you're right in terms of he would have wanted to have played better. But what I would say in his defence a little bit as well is for the time he's been at St Helens, Saints have been struggling massively with their injuries to key players. So as a hooker, if your pack, for example, is not the one that's winning, it makes your life 10 times harder. So I'd love to see a really strong Saints side and how Darrell Clarke performs in that. And to be fair, they're not getting far off it now. So it's time for Daz to show everybody why he is an international.
Yeah, well, Simon Shaw again. He had to follow the best number 9 in the Super League here in James Roby. It's a very, very good case in point, and I think on that basis, only Darrell Clarke could have potentially have been that player because Roby was such an absolute gem. Arguably is he the greatest of all time, number 9 in Super League? I'll tell you now, it'd be very hard pushed to say that he's not. James Roby, absolutely outstanding. Well done, Simon. And again, Super League Royal member. Hence the reason why he's getting his comments on the screen. We do prioritise the members here. If you're not a member, you don't wish to become a member just yet, use Super Chats. We'll get you on the screen and we'll get you involved in the debate. Carla Collier doing her best. Shirley Bassett. Diamonds form under pressure. And we're seeing plenty of young talent coming through. Yes, maybe on the grand final day we'll get her on karaoke and she can give us her best Shirley. That'd be outstanding. Right, okay, let's get into arguably what a matchup. It had to be this one. Had to be. The Caius test coming up against, again, arguably one of the best prop forwards Super League has ever seen. Many people wrote this man off, Alex Walmsley, going into this season. Many people had questions over his fitness. Many felt that his best years were behind him. Of course, he was given an extended contract at Saints, and some people were questioning that decision. He's played every single game this season in Super League. Caius has got 7 tries to Walmsley's 3, 2 assists for Walmsley to Caius's 1. But the bus, look at this. I mean, as good as Caius Fiatilli is playing, as good as he is playing, this might just make people go, whew. Alex Walmsley, for whatever reason, has come in for some harsh criticism for me this season, and many people not looking at exactly what this man is producing. Nearly double the amount of tackle bust that Caius Fiatilli's done. Tackles very, very similar, not a lot in it, and of course, nobody down the middle has ran for more meters this season than Alex Walmsley. In terms of tackle efficiency as well, Caius Fiatilli 93%, Walmsley 95%. Stef, Walmsley has been exceptional.
He has. He's been brilliant, and I was one that was concerned based on his injuries the last few years. Again, another one, Father Time catching up on him, and I was one of my biggest fears for Saints with him being such a leader and meter maker for them is if he got injured, they would start to really struggle. And I think it's testament to Alex's recovery and fitness that he's played every single game this season. And those tackle busts, I mean, that's his game, isn't it? Knocking that first defender off. He's the best. Simply the best, Tina Turner. At doing that in Super League, but no, he's had a great season, really good season, and a lot of the reasons why Saints have managed to have a bit of a resurgence.
And of course, the supporting cast isn't bad either, with the likes of Mike McMeekin, etc. That's going to be a really good quality tussle right down the throat on Friday night. Really looking forward to that. Of course, Steph, you went the Trin 9-17. You were pretty, pretty adamant on a decent win. I just said something about St. Helens. They're just starting to come. I think they might snatch it 1-8. History goes their way in this particular fixture. I went Saints 1-8. It's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Okay, rightio. Let's have a quick look now at the next one. Of course, it's Warrington against Wigan. Wigan have won their last 3 away games at the wire. They've won the last 4 out of the last 5 against the wire. History, of course, in the favour of the Warriors. The last time that Warrington won at the HJ Stadium against the Warriors was a 21-8 win back in July 2021. It's a long time between drinks, that. Wigan have got a great record at the Halliwell Jones Stadium. Surprisingly, both come in with a 3 from 5 win ratio going into this game, which is, Warrington, of course, they need to look at themselves in terms of, the last 2 games. There's no doubt they've pretty much thrown away any chances of a playoff hope. Wigan's form has been a little bit intermittent as well. You look at the points for free-flowing Wigan, no doubt about it. We've talked all season about Warrington's defence being nowhere near the 2024 standards, and that's why they found themselves languishing outside of those playoff places and probably will remain so. Tackle efficiency very, very close. Conversions going the way of the Warriors. And again, when you get into errors and penalty, I mean, this is the interesting one. We talked about Wigan all season. It just doesn't look like Wigan. You wouldn't believe Wigan at this moment in time. They have got they've got more errors than any other of the top 6 bar leads.
Yeah,
that's quite startling, really. You don't expect that. They've made more errors than everybody in the top 6 bar leads, and that's a concern. At this moment in time, whether they're trying too hard, they know that form's off and they're pushing things a little bit too much. Combinations, of course, they've had a few key players in and out this season, in the likes of your wingers, etc., which can affect the fluidity of your attack and like combinations. We get that, but it is a startling statistic that they've had so many errors.
And they've another one that's had their injuries this year to key personnel, but this is Wigan we're talking about. The people that they bring in for those injured players would get in, most of the starting teams in Super League. So it's definitely been a concern. They have looked off in some games, it's like the only way you can explain it, like they lost the mojo a little bit, but players starting to return now. We could see. I think Bevan's been named in the squad for this one, or will be named in the squad.
Well, he's there. You can see Bevan French, number 6, is there, as is Jai Field.
Yeah, so two massive players to come back for Wigan if they do appear in this one, which I think they will. I think they need it. I think they really need this win now just to keep track on Hull KR, and obviously with that massive game next week against KR, they will want those 2 players to have a bit of game time underneath the belts before they go into that battle royal next week.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And I think I said this, I think it might have been last week on Weekly, that perhaps, just perhaps, Wigan would want to get them a game under the belt before that match, rather than throw them both in. But on that basis, I remember you saying last week, and of course neither happened, you said, before the Warrington game that you expected either one of Mulhern and O'Neill to play. Same here. Maybe one plays, one doesn't, maybe. Obviously it depends on where their 2 injuries are up to. Bevan French, possibly the favourite to play. With Eckersley there to deputise for Field, you might decide that, to risk, well, not risk, but, to put both in after injury with KR on the horizon. maybe he'll utilise Eckersley at fullback again and just maybe bring one back. What's your thoughts?
I don't think so, Dave. I think with Fields being was a HIA, wasn't it? So it wasn't an actual injury.
Yeah.
I think it's so. So because it was a HIA, he'll have gone through enough time now since that happened to have, hopefully for Jai have recovered. So I would have said the more likely is Field to play rather than French, but I do believe that they'll play both. I think just because of the main reason. KR next week. They can't go into that cold. And if they're going to play next week, then they need to play this week for me.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. It always happens at least once, doesn't it? From a Warrington perspective, the player that I'm really looking forward to seeing again is Ryan Mattison. I thought he had a really, when he was on the field, like we said, he played the Asiata role for me, and it was interesting to see how that could develop between now and the end of the season. Not against the sticking around as well, so that'll be interesting to see where Warrington are at. If Mattison can carry on playing that type of game, Warrington might consider a little dabble there for 2026. But yeah, you look down the list there. Of course, we know that Connor Wrench is out. Zach Gardner, of course, played really well at the Catalan Dragons. He's back in the 21-man squad for Warrington. Ewan Smith again makes the 21-man squad. He was there last week. And, of course, Kai Taylor-Ray, Matt Duffy in the squad. We're being told he's not playing. Now, some people are saying that's a smokescreen. My understanding is he's not playing. Kai Taylor-Ray potentially coming back for this one. Of course, he's been out for a long time injured. Good to see these lads coming back for Warrington. From your perspective, Stef, though, do you give Warrington any chance in this one?
If they play like they did against Leigh for 70 minutes, if they can make that an 80-minute performance, then they've got a chance. I think the key one for me, and it was last week as well, was Danny Walker. He made a massive difference, as did Mattison. I think you were spot on to call him out. He's, for his first game, looked brilliant. And a lot of the good things that Wire did last week were off the back of his work. So if they can turn up like they did last week, then they've got a chance. My worry is for Warrington is if Bevan French and Jai Field both come back. I think that could spell danger.
Massive danger. Of course, Eckersley got back on the wings. So, I mean, you look at it, Phil fullback, Eckersley, Marshall on the wings, Wardle, Kieran in the centres, halfbacks back as you would like. Still no Luke Thompson, so there is a little bit of a shining light there for Warrington if they need one. But of course, Warrington have got no Harrison, which is a hammer blow for Warrington. They really need him. But yeah, I mean, pretty much Wigan are in great shape, and of course, number 21, Sam Walters, back in the 21-man squad as well. Will Sam Walters appear? Very interesting indeed. Right, let's go to the record breakers in this game. And there's quite a few of them as well. George Williams, he will make his 100th appearance for the Wiremark Sneyd. If he gets one more goal, which is probably likely, he will go ahead of Paul Deakin in the all-time Super League goal kickers chart. So that'd be good for Mark Sneyd. Ben Curry, if he goes over for a try, he's chasing his 100th try for the Wire. Adam Kieran will make his 100th career appearance, so congratulations to him. And if Liam Marshall goes over for 2 tries, he will have racked up 150 scores in his Super League career. So some really nice little milestones there. Liam Marshall, you won't bet against that, Stef, would you?
No, absolutely not. But there's going to be some good battles there with the Thulis. Is it both Thulis brothers will be on the wings again?
I would expect both Jake and Josh will be on the wings.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be a really interesting battle because I thought Thulis was great at Leigh last week. Then obviously set up that wonder try for Matt Duffy. So I think that the wings are going to be a really interesting battle for both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Let's, of course, this is where for me, we've got it's a really interesting battle. This one, it's going to be a great battle. This one, 2 masterful kickers, arguably 2 of the best. I know again another player, Harry Smith, who continues to come in for unfair criticism. I just don't get it. I mean, the amount of Wigan fans that have had an opinion on Harry Smith this year, give your head a wobble. Unbelievable. But both of these 2 players, absolute class. Of course, been on the try-scoring charts. The big surprise there is the assist, 18-8. I think Sneyd had wanted probably a better return than that from his 17 appearances. But you can see there, all the kicks go through him. The goals, better. And again, Harry Smith, before Kieran came along, we said that his Achilles heel was his goal kicking. We argue, we say that Mark Sneyd's one of the best goal kickers in the league. Surprisingly, Smith has a better conversion percentage this year than Sneyd, which you just wouldn't have expected. But there you go. So not only are Warrington struggling in other areas, maybe a banker in terms of Mark Sneyd being an 80% plus goal kicker. Even that's not quite materialised this year. It's been a real head scratcher for Warrington. But of these two, I think somebody put it in the chat. I think Harry Smith could be the difference. Well, not the difference. I think Wigan should win regardless. But I think Harry Smith could have a field day on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Both phenomenal control in the game. That's their bread and butter. For me, where Harry Smith just edges this battle is his defensive efforts. That's where Sneyd really game lets it down, and I think he'll openly admit that. If you looked at the game last week, the Mila Hanley try just absolutely brushed past him, no problem to score late on for Leigh. So there's no doubt Wigan will have done the homework and they'll be really targeting Sneyd, not just to tire him out, but because he is weak defensively. And that's where Harry is the better seven for me, because he's exceptional at controlling the game, but defensively he's sound as well. I know you've not got his tackle percentage on the screen there, but I would hazard a guess it's quite high for Harry Smith.
Yeah, well, absolutely. In terms of, like I say, in terms of what we said on weekly, you went Wigan 18 plus. I ran it into 9-17 in hope more than anything else. But I think everybody will be pointing to a Wigan win, and Wigan have to win this because, of course, if they didn't, the next game we're going to talk about is this one, and we fully expect Hull KR to win. And of course, at that point, if Warrington were to do the unthinkable on Friday, I think the League Leaders Shield race will be over on Saturday. I really do. I think it'd be all over by the shout. And again, just as we said we would do, let's give a bit of clarity to that. If Warrington were to beat Wigan, they'd remain on 30 points. KR would go up to 36 with a far superior points difference. However, of course, if Wigan do win this and beat KR at the Brick, then, of course, it's down to 2 points. Of course, we know that all points will count double in the KR Wigan game. So even though it looks unassailable, the points difference that KR have got, it would make it interesting. But if Wigan were to lose to the Warrington Wolves, KR for me would be 6 points clear going into that game at the Brick. And if they was to turn Wigan over, you may as well give them the shield at the Brick, because that would very much then pretty much bring that one to an end. So you Robins fans out there, you might not be as far away from the League Leaders Shield as perhaps you are, but I do think Wigan win against Warrington. And I would expect KR to come through this one against the Castleford Tigers, Stef. Right, KR, their last 6 home games against Castleford, they have won. The Tigers' last win against the Robins was a 33-32 Challenge Cup Golden Point win in 2021. So there you go. And I've not seen who you put for your try scorers yet. I just basically upload the graphics. I genuinely didn't look at it because, as you know, I was still doing it when you came into the background for the show, Stef. But here's one for you, Stef. Petter Hiku has scored a try in the last 3 meetings against the Castleford Tigers. There you go. I'll be interested to see if he's in your bet, Step, in a minute. Bazza Kingston back into Super Chat. Up the Robins, says Bazza. Absolutely right. Here we go. There you can see it. I mean, unbelievable. I think in fact the last winning Super League for Castleford against KR was 2022. Believe it or not, 32-0. 32-0. Oof. Tigers had take that one there, but that was at Cass. And of course, this year they played each other twice. A tight 19-18 in Golden Point. Let's not forget in round one.
Cass should have won that because Texoy had a kick to win it and missed it. Yeah, absolutely. Remember?
So that was it. But then how things changed by the time we got to round 15, a 48-0 win for the Robins at the Jungle. You look at that there. I mean, look, 5-0 the last 5 meetings. You look at the form guide, those 2 losses, of course, back-to-back, which astonished everybody. But again, look at the points scored, 664. You look at the points conceded for Castleford at 521. It basically tells you you're expecting that there is vulnerability there at Castleford, and they're coming up against one of the best attacking side in the division. It's just got a bloodbath written all over it. I'm sorry, Castleford Tigers fans, but you've got to concede that. It really, really does. The rest of the stats, pretty close. Steph, I think we all went 18 plus to KR. The Tigers fans will want an improved performance than that they dished up against Saints. That's probably all they could hope for, that the attitude, desire and performance is better than what they dished up last week against the Saints.
And that's all you can ask as a Castleford fan at the moment. That, you know, where they are in the table, the squad they've got. You know, you're going to the league leaders, but unfortunately for Cass, I don't think it matters what they do in this game. There'll be Nando's vouchers. I think it's Nando's instead of free breakfast now, isn't it, for keeping the old duck egg? And I expect them to get it this week as well. I can't see. You look at that. I mean, we waxed lyrical a minute ago about St Helens' defence. You're imagining that they're averaging less than 9 points a game.
Yeah,
So
just over, but yeah,
just over, yeah. Ridiculous from KR defensively, and then you throw into that probably the best attack in Super League as well, and the most dangerous player in Super League. It's a frightening proposition for the Tigers, but they can go into this game with no pressure. There's absolutely zero pressure on Castleford, so that's always a bit dangerous for a team like KR when you've got a team coming to you that is expected to lose. For me, KR really need to set a marker down in this one, like they did against Salford. We talked about how they needed to really put a performance in there to show how serious that they're taking it. I expect exactly the same again. I think KR are going to be ruthless. I'm going to do my typical prediction of 2 Mikey Lewis tries and 3 Burgess tries in this one. It's going to be a tough day. Tough day for Cass. But for Cass fans, I just hope they go there, put the effort in, and you can clap them off, because that's all you can ask for is effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Carla Collier there saying it could be a painful visit for the Tigers. I completely and utterly agree. I mean, look, quick maths, 33.2 is the average point scored per game for KR after 20 rounds. That is why they are where they are. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. But because it should be a complete and utter win, this one for KR. Sorry, Simo, if you're watching. I think it's time that you check in on Mikey Lewis. We've done this a couple of times this season. Load of nonsense where Mikey Lewis is concerned. Look, we challenged Mikey over his antics. We did, and we have done. You know, we will challenge Mikey where we think we need to challenge him. But nobody has waxed lyrical more than us about Mikey Lewis in 2025 and 2024. These stats after 20 rounds is why probably everybody outside of George Williams' family think this man should be starting in the Ashes. You know, let's be crystal on that. 17 appearances, 18 tries, joint leading try scorer, 26 assists, just 2 behind the leading try assister. He's made the most breaks in Super League in 2025, 77 tackle busts, 255 tackles, 83% efficiency, 2 40-20s this season, 22 errors, which, is just over an error a game. Again, when you're throwing the ball around and when you're involved in the play as much as Mikey is, that ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. He's all over it. Look at his meters. Look at his average gains. I put Man of Steel question mark. For me, I know we've still got a long way to go, and it still could change. But if Mikey stays fit, I don't see how Mikey's not the next person after Paul Sculthorpe to go back to back.
No, I completely agree. And what you've got to remember with those stats as well is he's missed a few games as well.
3 games, yeah.
Yeah. So to have missed 3 games and still be leading, at the top of the charts for tries and breaks is phenomenal. So alongside over 2,000 meters as well. It's the Ashes one's a great one because I would love. It's only a hypothetical; it's never going to happen. But I'd love to see George Williams in this KR side because that is a factor in this as well. Mikey is playing in a very, very good side that is making it easier for him this year. But his talent is phenomenal. And a lot of the stuff that KR do well is because of Mikey. So that's not taking anything away from him at all. He's been unbelievable. For me, he's 100% the Man of Steel. He's the best player in Super League at this moment in time.
Absolutely. And look, everybody knows I'm a Warrington fan. I'm just going to say it. Mikey Lewis is performing better than George Williams potentially ever has. There's a statement for you. You know, I mean, George Williams, when he started out at Wigan, was not producing numbers like this.
No, and he was playing in an exceptional Wigan side.
And people need to wake up to that fact. And I think, with the Ashes on the horizon, what I want all neutral fans to consider, we need to start getting behind this lad and building his confidence up, because he could be the key to an Ashes win. He really could. He is. The Aussies will be feared to death of Mikey Lewis. So, away supporters and so, I know you're going to get behind your own team, but just show this man a bit of respect as a rugby league player. When he's over that way, he's a rugby league player. Show him some respect. This could be the guy that gets us the Ashes. And for me, he deserves to be in. It'd be the biggest nonsense in the world if this guy does not line up Test match 1 against the Aussies. It'd be the biggest nonsense in the world. Incredible talent. What a player. And I'll tell you, the only other thing that I would say about this particular game, Steph, is obviously we know that they brought Rowan Milnes back from Castleford. And even though they've got that cushion, they will want to go to the brick and get the monkey off the back in terms of Wigan Warriors. That's the one thing now. All teams, they want to get milestones. And for me, the next milestone is they need to get a win over Wigan. They need to make that happen. So this game is also very, very important from a KR perspective to plug the Tyrone May hole that is about to go into that game against Wigan. So I think for me, this is not the ban for May, which we both said was always on the cards and was stupid from Tyrone May. And I would say that I will hold it. You've just heard what I've said about Mikey Lewis, so don't come at me, Robins fans. Tyrone May should have known better and should not have done what he did in a game that, quite frankly, meant nothing. They were always winning it. It was a complete lack of composure and professionalism, and he let his teammates down. Full stop. They've now got to deal with the consequences of that. This is a good game for that. They can build some combos. They can decide what are they going to go Litton Lewis? Are they going to bring Milne back in? What are they going to do? But it gives them a game to just get that new halfback combination ticking prior to that Wigan game.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know whether they are going to play Milne or whether they're going to put Morg in the 7th position, and maybe Broadbent to fullback. Reece Martin maybe to centre. There's some thing, but I think it's a good thing for KR this, because who knows what's going to happen in the last 7 games. You could get an injury or whatever. So any time where you can test your combinations, and I think this is a perfect game to do that. The game they should win regardless of what combinations they use. And like you rightly said, they're not going to have May for the Wigan game, so they need to practice those combos as well. So, yeah, really interesting in terms of what Willie goes with this week. I'm intrigued to see what their lineup's going to be. And I think that's probably going to be the most interesting part of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's move on to this one. Again, Pride on the line. We won't dwell on these last couple. We've done a lot of analysis on the big games today, and I'm sure everybody can appreciate why we're doing that. Of course, they're the ones that really are going to be the heavyweight battles of round 21. But of course, we have got this one. Actually, thinking about it before, I forgot to do the graphics. Sam Luckley. He's going to make 200 career appearances if he plays this week. Tom Davies, 100 Super League tries if he gets another one. That'll be a big milestone for him. Joe Westerman could make his 200th appearance for Castleford. And George Lawler will be making his 150th. So some really good milestones there for them. Right, Huddersfield Giants taking on the Catalan Dragons. The last Dragons win came against Huddersfield in round number 16. A 32-0 win in Perpignan. Who can forget that? Remember, that was that boiling hot day where they went down to them. In history, it's very close, 25-23, 4-1 to the Dragons in the last 5 times. These have come very, very close because of where they are on the table. Everything on that graphic tells you it's going to be a very, very close game indeed. Of course, terrible news coming out of the Giants press conference. No Tuilagi, he's out for the season. Adam Swift is gone again. I mean, again, the injury curse hitting Huddersfield Giants. At what point, I know Lee Robinson said they were doing reviews into this, but are they bringing them back too early? In some cases, what is going on injury-wise at Huddersfield Giants? I mean, it just doesn't ring true because it's not just this season. This has been a problem for them last year as well.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of concern in that respect for especially when you bring in players in, and night levels, but they were in-game injuries, weren't they, rather than training ones? So it's an head scratcher, and you've got to feel sorry for the Cobell Army. They've had a horrific, you know, season, and you say last season as well. They were struck by a similar thing. So I'm sure they're doing lots of analysis into it. Whether they can find the answer, let's hope so, especially for next season.
Yeah, let's hope so. Oh, I did do a graphic. Oh, what do you know? There it is, just for my Robins and Castleford Tigers fans. I just forgot it to put it in the deck. There they are. They're the record breakers that potentially could be going there. I don't want to disappoint people. Of course, they can get quite precious about things like that, thinking that I don't love them when I do. But there you go. In terms of this game, though, there is another record breaker on the horizon. It's Tommy Makinson. Tommy Makinson, one try needed to move ahead of Jermaine McGilvery as the standalone sixth place all-time try scorer in Super League. Tommy Mack in a great player, great servant to the game. Right, I have done a head-to-head in this one because I think there is a head-to-head worth talking about, providing that they both play. And it's, of course, exciting youth. Flanagan going up against the Spiro Bichet. Again, well worth tuning in for. Both of these two play. Do you know what? The interesting thing about these two is look how close their stats are. They're not a million miles apart. Both very, very young. So actually, from a Super League Raw perspective, because you do like to analyse players and teams and form and all the rest of it, what I'm loving about this, because they're so close and they're so similar in age, they can benchmark each other. We can benchmark these two throughout their careers in terms of their progression and where they're going. I think they've both got incredible talent. I think at the moment, based on what we're seeing, you put Flanagan ahead of Spiro Bichet. I think Flanagan's looked more impressive on the eye, to the point where he, for me, possibly first name on the team sheet for the Giants. I mean, such is his quality. But yeah, this for me, well worth tuning in for. Two really good, exciting young players. You've got to find narratives. Yes, pride is on the line. Huddersfield won't give up the chance of overtaking the Giants. And on the field of play, there's a battle like this we can look forward to. It should be well worth tuning in on Saturday, Steph.
Yeah, two exceptional young talents. I'm really looking forward to seeing both these. I mean, they're both on long-term deals now, I think, with the respective clubs, so they're going to be their future to build around. I'm really looking forward to seeing both of these play in a competitive side, because I think both sides this year, it's hard to argue that they've not been that competitive, but both capable of producing competitive Super League sides. So when they're playing in a really good side that's got go forward, these two are going to come to the fore even more for me. So I'm really excited for their future. But I'm also excited to watch this game. I think it's two sides that are very, very similar in ability. And confidence and league position. So whenever you get that kind of matchup, regardless of whether that's at the top of the table or the bottom, it normally produces a really good game to watch and excitement. So that's what I'm most looking forward to with this one. And I think it should be a really, really good game.
Well, Carla Collier, she's having a good day today, Carla. She's been on the screen quite a few times. Flanagan in with a shout for Young Player of the Year. And if you were watching Super League Raw Weekly, that is something that we might be debating next week on Weekly. And there's an absolute list, as long as your arm, of young talent that have hit the ground running in 2025, who will, for me, be in the melting pot. And of course, certainly George Flanagan will be in that melting pot. Aspiro Bichet, had he carried on his early season form, I think he would have been, he's probably faded in terms of that type of accolade, but he's still a very exciting talent. But yeah, George Flanagan will, I'm sure, be discussed next Tuesday live at 8 o'clock on Super League Raw Weekly. I actually went the Giants 1-8, but I think the loss of Tui Lolohea and Swift could actually swing. I'm going to leave it as it is, but it could swing it to Catalan's favour.
Yeah. What did I go?
Giants you went Giants 1-8 as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it could do. It's two big losses for the Cobells, but we all know that Catalan, especially with travelling, which Catalan we're going to get this week. So I'm comfortable leaving it as that. I still think Huddersfield have got enough to win this game. But what I don't want to see from Huddersfield is a performance like they put up against Wakefield. No. I want to see the performance that they put up against FC, and if they do that, then they will beat Catalan 1-8.
They wish they could play FC every week. They wish they could play FC every week, but alas, they can't. Alas, they can't. And speaking of FC, let's go there. Of course, they're taking on Salford. And look, with the announcements that we've had this week, and the Chris Hankinson off to Leeds, which is great business for Leeds. Ormond Roy today, Chris Hill has gone. Ethan Ryan, we're hearing, has played his last game for Salford. Whether that's true or not, we'll wait. But there's a lot of rumour around Ethan Ryan. Good luck, Paul Rowley. I really feel for Paul. I really do. And I think that, there's been a lot. Here's one for you. I mean, and it's a mad thing to say this. It really is. But he won't win and shouldn't win Coach of the Year. I'll put that out there straight away, Paul Rowley. He can't win that award. But if there was an award for the spirit of Super League or something along those lines, I think Paul, for me, the way he's handled this at Salford this year, as I think it's been exemplary, and I really feel for him. I really do. And of course, I think he came out this week and hinted that perhaps the director of rugby league now is perhaps not on the cards, potentially. I mean, sport is one thing, human beings is another. I mean, Paul's life has been turned upside down, but he continues to front up in the media. He continues to try and find positives where he can, and he deserves credit for that, doesn't he?
He absolutely does. He's the only blot on Paul's copybook for me this season, and I'd be more than happy to say it to his face. Is when they did the St Helens thing, when they did have players available. I don't care what anybody says; they didn't have to do that. What they did, and that's the only thing that leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. But apart from that, phenomenal. And I think he's the way he's spoken in the media, the way he's handled it. He's fronted that organisation all season. He's been left out to dry, I think, by the people, the new owners, in certain things. He took things on that he probably shouldn't have done. And he's done it with a smile on his face for the majority of the season as well. And he has got the unique ability of man management, Paul. Those players, no one can argue that the ones that have come in haven't given 100% effort, and that's due to Paul's leadership and stuff. He's a phenomenal coach, and I think everyone feels sorry for Paul, and think he's, apart from that one bit I spoke about, has acted incredibly well this year in the most difficult of circumstances.
My team's upset. Good lad, Matty. Look, hey, but we're talking positively about your coach, Matt. We're talking positively about your coach. Look, as far as the game goes itself, Hull FC probably going to fill the boots, and of course, talk that Price and Asiata are back as well. So, yeah, it's a real travesty. It's an absolute travesty. But one man who's probably really, really rubbing his hands together going into this game, providing he plays, of course, he might not play, but if he does play, is this man, Tom Briscoe, needs one more try to get to 100 for FC. Yeah, no doubt about it. And there you go, Carla. I should think so. The amount of times you've been on the screen today, she's making us a cup of tea. Well done, Carla. You know it makes sense. Well done to Carla, feeling the pressure of the Kingston. Right, look, great chat, brilliant chat. Look, let's not end on that negative where the game's concerned. We have got 3 barnstorming games coming up this weekend for different reasons. The one tonight I think is going to be electric, really do, because we know what Derek and Leigh are going to put on before to get the juices pumping in the stands. Hopefully Leeds take a really good crowd with them. Let's hope that they take a good crowd with them. Have you heard any numbers on that yet, Steph, in terms of any potential Leeds, how many they're bringing across?
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to. It won't be as many as it should be for a game of this big, because it's a Thursday night, the M62 excuse, etc. I'd have loved to have seen 2,500 Leeds fans in the ground for tonight. It would have been phenomenal. Unfortunately, speaking to members like Alex Sharp, I think that he's more expecting about 500, which is. Yeah, not good for a game of this magnitude and the meaning for it. But I'm sure those 500 will still be loud and proud, and they can still create an atmosphere with 500. So it's going to be a really good night at the LSV.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. He deserves a better crowd than that. But that, like I say, going to be outstanding. I think the fare on the field is going to be incredible this evening. And then tomorrow, Wakey against Saints. What a game. What a game. I mean, again, these two, for me, put them on the pedestal. I think they're going to be great advertisements for our sport. In 2 weeks where there's been far too much Ifing and butting over what's coming in 2026. Bottom line is, let's celebrate the here and now. Some wonderful games of rugby league. And of course, Warrington Wigan very seldom disappoints. It should be interesting, but we would expect a Wigan win. Here's one for you. While Stef is doing Bet Stef, who has scored the most points in Super League this year as a player? Which player is currently the top point scorer in Super League? You have a little think about that while Stef does this.
Are you sick and tired of winning your bets every week? Want to contribute to the bookies' Christmas party? The bets to ignore when predicting the score. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Bet Stef.
Double show going. So bets this week on the handicap accumulator. I've gone Leigh minus 2.5. Again, I think it's very close. This could go either way. So it's a flip of a coin on that one. Warrington plus 5.5. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that one, to be honest with you. Maybe getting a bit excited from Warrington's performance last week. That could be a struggle.
You're going to lose £1. Don't do it. You're going to lose £1.
Yeah, I'm just thinking through off there. Well, I don't know where my head was that one. It must have been after a few beers after I selected these. Wakefield outright win. I do think that's a good possibility with Wakefield being at home, packed out crowd. So that'll be interesting. Hull KR minus 38.5, massive handicap for them to overcome. But based on the fact that Saints could put 40 on Cass, I think Hull KR are more than capable of overcoming that one. And Huddersfield minus 2.5. Again, this was done before the news of Swift and Lollahea going out of the game. So, yeah, I wouldn't say this is my most confident bet, Stef, that I've ever done.
But watch it come in.
It would be typical, yeah. And the anytime try scorers this week, I've gone for Josh Charnley 2.37, Jyfield at 2.25, and Jaden Myers, who we talked about earlier, has been in phenomenal form for Wakefield. So yeah, him at 3-1, I think is great value. So that treble was paid 16s. I think that's great value for three players there that have been pretty much on fire this season. So that one I'm a bit more confident with than the handicap betting.
That's better. That's a lot better. That's a lot better. I'll give you that one. That is a lot better. Outstanding stuff. Do you know what? That's Jaden Myers. Yeah, good shout. That who's he up against? Up against Felt, isn't he?
Yeah,
against Felt. That's an interesting one. Outstanding chat. Right, I did ask before Bet Stef, who has scored the most points in Super League 2025 in the chat. We've had Peter Barley's got in. Carla Collier said maybe Mikey. Peter Barley's gone Arta Morg. Do you know what, Pete? That's great knowledge, but you're wrong. But you're only just wrong. You're wrong by 8 points. He's second. Who would you go with, Stef? Arta Morg is second with 168 points. Connor, good guess. He's fourth with 113. Well down.
Harry Smith,
not in the top 10.
Wow.
I'll put you all out your misery. A lot of questions were asked about this man. Could he do it? On his return to Super League, he's doing it. Max Jowett, 176 points for Wakefield Trinity. Max Jowett, currently the highest point scorer in Super League. And with that, we will bid you farewell. Me and Stef will be in the Bluebell. Now, here's one for you. Super League Raw members. We have 2 tickets to join Craig Forth at the Wigan end for the Warrington game. Unfortunately, Andy and Emma, who won those tickets, cannot come. So they've redonated them back to the community. So Super League Raw members only. If you're watching this, I will put it on the WhatsApp group in a moment. You have the opportunity of putting your hands up for 2 free tickets to tomorrow's game at HJ Stadium, joining myself and Stef in the Bluebell from 6. Do you want to come to that? We'll leave it with you. Stef, as always, mate, thanks for your company. Enjoy your rugby league in round 21, everyone. Bye for now.